Welcome everyone to another video. My name is Haggart, aka Hags, and today I want to share with you how I project manage my properties, which are a good 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours away from me, and how I maximize my time rather than wasting a lot of time trying to pull things together to make things work. There are really two ways of really going about this. So starting off with step one is of course finding that property. Knowing that there will be a lot of refurb being done to it, whatever scale it's at, you'll need to know the refurb cost. At first, I will price up roughly how much I think it's worth and then do all my numbers that way. And if you have already created a relationship with a builder, then of course you can get them down to come and have a look with you at the viewing, or maybe book another viewing with your builder to really price everything up exactly. And if you're going to price it yourself, be a bit conservative, give yourself a bit of a cushion, just so when your builder comes, you're not in for a shock. But if you haven't created a relationship with a builder, of course, just price things to the point where you have, like I said, that cushion. And when your offer does get accepted, you can of course get a builder down who can of course give you a better figure of how much everything roughly will cost in general. And it's always good to get 2 or 3 even, just to give you that upper hand that if something else pops up, then of course you have that cushion to use if you need it. The one builder who will do everything, who has the electrician, who has the plasterer and so on, to do everything one at a time. So they've almost taken on that project manager role, but also you're also in the loop of things at the same time, so you know exactly what's going on, which is of course the easier route to go down. But of course it does cost a bit more because of course your builder's pretty much doing everything. But it does mean if you have commitments such as a full-time job or children, whatever it is, then you can sort of leave it in their hands to an extent to just get on with things. What you'd want to do after this stage, once you've sort of got the price, you roughly know how much everything will cost to do, you want to make sure you have a payment plan in place. You want to know how long it will take the builder to do these works. And of course, what will happen first, what will happen next, and so on. Even when I've done plenty of properties, I still ask these same questions. Even though it's just such a quick answer from my builder, and I could just give them the keys to just get on with it, I still ask these questions because it takes them 2 seconds to just reply back with a list of things. We'll strip it out, we'll do the pipe work, etc., and just list it, and that's it. With payment plans, it will probably be a payment at the beginning, just a small payment as a sort of deposit, and then of course one after the strip out where they've ordered a couple of things, of course, to cover the cost for those things, as well as another one where it's halfway through, and then a final one. But this can vary, so of course speak to your builder, and always remember, pay your builder on time, work with your builder well, and they will give you the same respect back. That's exactly how it works. I pay my builder as soon as he says, can I have a payment of this amount? Give it to them. And now comes to the point where the build is ready to begin. You've got everything in place, you've got your builder ready. This is where I would come ever so often, maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks. For me nowadays, it's once every 2 weeks because I've got properties scattered around. It's a bit complicated, and also just the journey itself can be quite time consuming. But if of course you've just begun, it's your first project, or you've started looking in a new area, you need a new builder, feel free to come once a week. And of course, if you can't come once a week, get the builder to send you videos of the whole place once a week. Or once every 2 weeks, just to see the progress. And of course, as you go along with these sort of refurbs, there's always something that creeps up. It's not the most expensive thing in the world. For example, my last project was Bungalow. If you haven't watched that series, go check that out. But there was a £2,000 extra for something. There was also another couple of £100 for something else. So like I've always said, give yourself a cushion of £5,000, roughly around there, just for you to know that when you do your figures, whether you're renting this property out or you're flipping this property, then you've got that cushion. Because if you don't spend it, perfect, you've got £5,000 still in your pocket. So now at this stage, of course, your builder's getting on with it, etc. This is where you of course do your final snaggings pretty much at the end, just to make sure there's nothing that is of notice which is sticking out, which isn't done right, etc. Meet your builder there for the last time at the end. Let them go through the whole property with you. We've done this, we've done that, etc. If there is something, they can get it done straight away. So that's my first and favorite way of project managing a property. And the second way is, of course, if you want to go down a cheaper route, then you hire separate people to do separate jobs. And personally for me, I wouldn't do this as my first project. I would get one builder to do everything, and you can understand what goes on, what's first, what's last, how everything works, and then you can look to do this sort of thing in your second or third project where you can sort of save a bit more money, etc. For me, to be honest with you, I've just kept the same builder. My bungalow took 2 months to do. My property before that took just over 2 months, and then the one before that just over 2 months. So for me, time is money for me. So I'm happy to pay my builder that extra bit. But if you are happy to weigh it out, you'll need to manage everything a lot more closely and pay attention to more things, knowing when something is finished, you have to get the next guy in. If that's finished, you need to get the next person in. And it sort of rolls on from there. So after you've got a full list, get the price from every single person, and I would do this again if my offer is accepted. And then once the build begins, of course, you create a timestamp of when everyone comes in, and you ask them, how long do you think this will take? Maybe add an extra week or two, just so you never know what happens. So it's rather than 4 payments to one builder, it's payments to every single person. So you've got an electrician, you've got the plumber, you've got the plasterer, and so on. So you'll have quite a few payments to slowly make out to each person. But of course, you will save money in the long run doing it that way. But for me and a lot of other people, they prefer to just get the one builder in, create a relationship. And usually over time, they do give you discounts on things. And in terms of how often you'd want to visit the property, I would say more or less after 2 of the builders have come in. So for example, if you've got the door fitters and the electrician that have come in, I would come in after those 2 have been done. Of course, like I've said, videos, get the videos in. And sometimes doing things over text rather than a phone call is a lot better if you haven't worked with a builder. So then they can just go back on that photo and see everything. But there we have it. That's how I would project manage my properties, the 2 best ways, and the pros and cons pretty much of each one. So let me know down below which one you would use, which strategy you would go for. Would you pick one builder, or would you go for separate builders and you contact each one and do it yourself that way? Let me know down below. But I've been Hagop, aka Hags. Don't forget the name, and I'll catch you in the next video.